finding measures involving diagonals of a parallelogram. All right, so with this one, we do need to remember the rules or properties of a parallelogram. And down below here, it does give you this nice one. And if you notice, I just copied and pasted over here on my whiteboard just to make it a little easier. Now, you don't necessarily have the ability to copy and paste it right over to your whiteboard. So what should you do? You should write some notes just to make sure you remember these properties. So you should not just move on to the next page before looking at your notes or looking at the explanation. If the explanation doesn't make sense to you, you should find, you should find a video like this one to help you get through these types of problems. Don't just move on and expect to know exactly what to do on the next page without reading through the explanation or watching a video. So we need to find, we need to go over the properties of a parallelogram. So first, opposite sides are congruent. So that's the very first, other than for a parallelogram, the opposite, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. So it's in the word parallelogram. So I hope we remember that parallelogram has opposite sides that are parallel. So that's the basic definition of a parallelogram. But the first property is that opposite sides are congruent. So I can go left, right, top, bottom. Those are congruent. Opposite angles are also congruent. So this means that I can go from corner to corner here, and they are congruent. So one arc to one arc, two arcs to two arcs. Same things with the tick marks. One tick mark to one tick mark, two to two. So the tick marks or slashes, because I know that Alex likes to say slashes when it gives you the definitions. These have to do with lengths for sides. Arcs have to do with angles. All right, the third property is consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So this means supplementary means that it's two angles that add up to 180 degrees. And consecutive interior angles means one right after the other. So we're not going across from each other. We're going one right after the other like this. So I can have these two add up to 180. I could go across the bottom. These two would add up to 180. I could go across the right side here, or I could go across the top. It's just one angle right after the other. And they're going to add up to 180 degrees. The fourth property, alternate interior angles, which are formed by the diagonals, are congruent. So if we connect the diagonals, then alternate interior angles are congruent. So alternate means that it's on different sides of the diagonal. The alternate is different. So I have one on the bottom left and one on the top right. And then I also have one on the top left and one on the bottom right. So alternate, and then they're interior, meaning they're inside the parallelogram in this case. Usually we do this with just a couple parallel lines, but with a parallelogram, we have two pairs of parallel lines. So we can think of interiors inside the parallelogram. And then again, alternates just on different sides of that line. And we can say that these are congruent. As long as we have to jump over that diagonal. All right, the fifth property, the diagonals bisect each other. So if we draw both diagonals, this is the midpoint of both the diagonals. So it cuts them in half. That's another decent property to remember. All right, so now that we've gone over the five main properties and the definition, we can go ahead and look at the problem. So we're going to consider the parallelogram EFGH. So it's already telling you it's a parallelogram. That means that all of these things are true already. We just have to apply them to figure out the missing piece that they want. So use the given information to find X, angle F, the measure of angle F, and the measure of angle FEG. So they actually want three things. So if we want to know X, so we just learned that opposite sides are congruent, which means they're the same. So if we go to opposite sides here, we have 4X and 4. Well, what does X need to be to make sure that this side is 4 just like this side? Well, X would have to be 1 because 1 times 4 would give me 4. So we know X is 1. And then the next piece they want is angle F. Well, we also learned that opposite angles are congruent, so we would just go straight across. Well, opposite is 75, so F is 75. And then FEG, we also learned that, alternate interior angles are congruent. So this is where we are going to play with it just a little bit here. So I'm actually going to draw this. Let's see. I'm going to draw this over here. I don't have a whole lot of room. Um, I'm not doing the best job here. All right. That was supposed to be a little straighter there. All right. So we have 45, 43, and 75. So if I know that this is 45 and this is 75, sorry, 43 and 75. I wrote that backwards. Then I already know all triangles, and I'm just looking at this, the first triangle on the left-hand side here. They have to add up to 180 degrees, right? Always. We've done this quite a few times at this point. So if I subtract what I've got, which if I add these together, I have 7 plus 3 is 8. 7 plus 4, let's see, that's 11. So I have 180 minus 118. I'm going to borrow 10, 2, 6. So I know this is 62 here. So if this is 62, and we learned about alternate interior angles right here, then I know if I go alternate, meaning jump over the diagonal, and I go all the way over to this side, this also has to be 62 degrees. So it's just about applying those rules. And if we scroll down here, we can see those 3 amounts that we just got. We're going to click Start. I'm going to undo this bit here. Sorry, if I erase, it actually erases the picture, so I don't want to erase the picture. All right, where's my problem? There's my problem. All right, so we're going to consider the parallelogram EFGH below. So again, it's already a parallelogram. All of these things are true, okay? So use the information given in the figure to find the measure of angle IEH X and the measure of angle IHE. So first, let's focus on the measure of angle IEH. Just let's see what we can do here. So we have IEH. So we actually want this one here. I do wish my pen would work. That would actually make it a little easier. Oh, there we go. There's my pen. So we have IEH. So if we need those other rules, I'll open them back up again here. So we have this one here. So and I'm lying to you because I'm just super distracted by my pen here. So IEH, this one up here is what we want. So if we remember from that other page, which you should have written the notes down anyway, alternate interior angles. So I have a diagonal. Here's 56 on the top bottom right, I'll say that. And then I want to flip over to the bottom of the diagonal and slide all the way up. So this actually has to be 56 degrees as well because of alternate interior angles. All right. So we also learned on that other, the notes page, that the diagonals bisect each other. So if I want angle, or if I want to know what x is, then I have to remember that property. Because now I have 13 and I have 3x plus 1. Well, if this is the middle, if these bisect each other, then this 13 is equal to this 3x plus 1, and I can set them equal to each other, like this. And I can just start solving this equation. So I'm first going to subtract 1 from both sides. 3x comes down, 1 minus 1 cancels. And then I just finish by dividing by 3. Divide by 3 again because I'm multiplying by 3 there, right? So I have 3 divided by 3, and that gives me x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So x must be 4. All right, this last bit, and let's see, should I change up my color here? So I don't have too much all in purple. So I want IHE. So I actually did want this portion that I had tried to mark first here. But that was before. So we do want IHE. So again, we can use alternate interior angles. So I'm going to look all the way over here. I have 50 on this side. I can jump over the line and slide all the way down, and that's 50. So that's alternate interior angles. They're on alternate sides of the diagonal, and they're both inside the parallelogram. So I have to make sure I slide all the way down to the other side. I can't go alternate and then stop right here like this. That's not an alternate interior angle. That doesn't count. Slide all the way down. All right. So 50 and check. Yay. Okay, let's clear this and next. So we have a parallelogram EFGH. So remember, that means all those properties that we had on the last page, or on the notes page, are true already. We just have to apply them. So the first thing they want us to find is IHE. So IHE. So this one down here. Oops. Click my pen. IHE, like that. So again, just like on the last one, I'm going to use alternate interior angles. I have 34 up here. I can jump to the other side, slide all the way down. This is 34 degrees. Okay. So let's jump over here and type it in, and we'll move to the next one here. So the next one, I want IEH. So I want this one. So now I can do alternate interior angles again. So I can come over here and I have 61 on this side. I'm going to jump to the other side and slide all the way down. Well, this must be 61 degrees. 61. So a lot of this, it's not a whole lot of math on this one. It's a little bit more recognizing the properties. Now, not to say there isn't any math, because we're going to have to do math on the next one here. So we also need to remember the two properties are I think this was either the third or the fourth property. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I'd have to look at the other page. So I have 4x minus 2. We want to find x. So remember, this is the midpoint for both diagonals. And that just means that this half, if it's the midpoint, is equal to this half. So 2 is equal to 4x minus 2. We just need to figure out what is x so that this side ends up being 2. So we have to start undoing all this, all the pieces that are by this x. So we have 2 plus 2 is 4, equals, we bring down 4x. Negative 2 plus 2, any number where it's the same number and one's positive, one's negative, they cancel. And then this is 4 times x, so we undo that with division. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1 again, but it doesn't fully cancel because there's still an x there. So it doesn't become 0 when we're dividing. This becomes 0 because it's addition, subtraction. This one becomes 1. So when it's multiplication, division, it becomes 1. All right, so we want to click over here and do 1 and check, and we should have one more left to do. Yay. All right, so I'm going to clear this out. All right, let's look at this last one. So again, we have parallelogram A, B, C, D. So they're already telling us parallelogram. All those things on the notes page are true. So the first thing they want us to find here is angle B, this one. So angle B, this one is not going to be an alternate interior angle because I don't have a diagonal going across here, so I can't use that. But the second property that we wrote down was opposite sides are congruent. So, or opposite angles, sorry, opposite angles are congruent. So I'm going to go to opposite angle. Well, angle B is 81 because it's opposite angle D, which is 81 degrees. All right, X. So X is across from this side right here, and that was the first property of a parallelogram, not the definition, the first property, where opposite sides are congruent. So if this side is 5 on the top here, BC is 5, and AD is 5x, what does x need to be in order for this to stay 5? Well, it needs to be 1. So in this case, we don't really have to do any math. Well, we did in our head, but I didn't really have to write anything out because I already know x has to be 1 in order to multiply by 5 to stay 5. All right, so the last thing it wants here is BCA, so this angle here. And I didn't click my pen. This angle here. So there is a diagonal attached, so I can probably use my alternate interior angles. So if I come down here, I have 40. If I jump to the other side and slide all the way up, then I can stop at that angle that I'm looking for, which is 40 degrees. All right, so we have 40. Check. And we're good to go. We finished another one.